In 3, 2. Thank you. Welcome to Boots on the Ground. It is April the 13th, and I am Gimbal B. Joining me this week is a bunch of esports people, or people that have been involved in the esports side of Dust. Making his return, living in... Oh no, you actually have colour in your picture now, so I can't make fun of that. Is Kane Sparrow. How's it going, Kane?
It's going pretty good,
and I guess partner in crime, you guys did the open beta tournament together, or RockDoc you helped out?
I run the stat site, so I just hosted the stats in the bracket for Kane. He did all the work. I just kind of sat there and put up numbers.
Yeah, made sure I had a landing page so people would know what the heck was going on for the brackets and stuff like that.
Cool. And joining us from ESL, it is Charlie Idden. How's it going, Charlie?
I'm good, thanks a lot.
Cool. I guess there isn't actually that much news this week, so we're just going to do some esports stuff. There is some planetary conquest stuff, but we'll talk about it next week before Fanfest. I'll get a bunch of people from big corps, and we'll just talk like politics and stuff like that. But this week we'll just be focusing on the tournament and like esportsy stuff. So I guess, like, how's the tournament going that you're bringing up right now?
We had some teething problems with the site, which I probably could have spotted earlier, which is a small bug. It prevents anyone signing up to it. So luckily someone notified me and I fixed that. So I think me and Kane have agreed that we're going to extend the sign-ups by a week, and we're going to cut, because of the time limit before the next patch, we're going to, instead of 32 corps matches, we're going to cut it to 16.
Yeah, that way we can make sure that there's enough time for all the teams to get in their matches and all that good stuff. So we didn't want the glitch to necessarily cause the whole tourney to get canceled outright. So, but I think we can make a push for it and bounce back for it.
Get it all wrapped up before...
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of bad. Well, I guess, like, I hear you said it was really good timing for the tournament.
I said it was a good time for the tournament to see, just a way to like send Chromosome build off, because it's the build we've been with for how many months now? A long time.
Ever.
4.
Forever.
Since December 18th.
Yep, since December.
Wow.
It's been
5 months. No, 4 months.
a long time.
Yeah.
Almost 5 months.
That's quite ridiculous.
But you know, we'll get it. I think there's been some, there's interest in the tournament. I think there's actually now that people have kind of realized that they can set up their own teams specifically for the tournament. I think we're going to get some action in that regard as well. I think it was someone from Pink Fluffy Bunnies goes, wait a second, you have the member limit, but what's to stop someone from creating a small team of people just for the tournament? And then I was like, there's nothing stopping them from doing it if they want to. So, I think I've had a few organizations actually come up to me and ask me about that specifically. So, I think we may actually end up with some interesting mixed corp teams actually for the tournament as well, which I think could be kind of interesting, because I know some people have been kind of clamoring for a draft or something similar to that, but definitely the timing in terms of trying to arrange a draft and have set up captains and have picks and all that stuff, I just don't think the timing wouldn't have worked out very well. It would have been too much, before Fanfest and all that stuff, and before the build. I think it would have been too much of a crunch.
There's always next time.
Yeah.
There's always next time. And basically, what I generally try to do is the website's more or less running now the section for just 5, 4, and 4. And if anyone wants to run a tournament or has an idea for a tournament, basically you can test it on this and everything's ready to go. And generally, because I play Dust, but compared to a lot of the people I don't play Dust as nowhere near as much, and it's the community that basically help run tournaments and stuff, so I can't really do it without. So basically, if you guys say jump, I'll generally say how high, and sort something out for you.
Cool. So, I'm kind of curious as to how you got into Dust and like where the idea of like getting ESL involved in Dust came from.
Well, because I've played EVE since, probably since its release, just after its release I came in, so I've been quite fond of how CSP work with the CSM and how open they are to player ideas, player anything really. And I've been with ESL about a year. I've been doing work for the Tribes Ascend section, which is a free-to-play game on the PC. And I've been in Dust since the closed beta. And just the thought, Dust may not be something that people say it's not naturally an esports type thing, as in like Halo was. But if I thought in my day, if we could shape us there. Sorry. I get very tongue-tied. If we get involved now and show CSP there is not a market,
a demand,
an interest, demand, yes, thank you, and they would quite easily, I'm confident they'd facilitate something like that. For example, with the Syndicate Competitive League on EVE, they're helping out personally to get it running, which is great. And I think just having a fight, just the concept of having lots of mercs in a competitive scenario fighting on the ground, and you look up, and in EVE, there are thousands of players who want one of those teams to win, and thousands on the other side that want that team. And if you could see that in Dust and they fire down stuff, I think that'd be just an amazing experience, for something that'd be really something that's not been done for ever, really, in competitive games. So I made a post on the Dust Reddit, just said, what do you guys think of this? And everyone was fairly for this build they were saying maybe not for this build. There's not a lot of tools in place. And then Kane comes along just like, yeah, get in touch with me, we'll do this, that, and the other. And Kane's like this shining beacon. And originally I was thinking, later down the line, I'll slowly get the foundations going and slowly work up so I don't mess anything up. And he was like, no, we must get this, let's do this tournament, let's get the website up. So I'm like, I must do all this.
Yeah,
it's the same thing to me.
Yes, for me, I generally like to throw caution to the wind. I mean, if it's a beta, so the tournaments can be beta too. So I'm absolutely open for going in and breaking through walls and barriers and finding where the problems lie, what the community is willing to do, what the community is not willing to do in terms of tournaments, competitive play, and that sort of thing. I think there's always going to be an element to Dust that has an affinity for competitive play. I mean, it's just part of the FPS community, part of the core kind of FPS players, I think. So what I found most interesting, though, about this the Chromosome Cup, starting it out, the initial idea was because it's so expensive for people to run the tournaments. I know that several of the teams spent hundreds of millions of ISK during the Orbital Strike tournament. So it was initially started with a buy-in and that sort of stuff. And what became apparent, though, with that was that coming up to the build and coming up to Planetary Conquest, almost all of the larger corporations really don't have an interest right now in doing competitive play because of the expense for it. And I can definitely understand that, and I can appreciate that. But I know at the same time there's a lot of opportunity for smaller groups of people, and whether the smaller groups of people come from these bigger organizations, or they just happen to be sub 50-man groups that are around 50 people, that sort of thing. I think that it gives them an opportunity, actually, because all of the big players not wanting to save up for Planetary Conquest. It gives an opportunity to teams that wouldn't necessarily be able to make a names for themselves. And to me, I think that's what's kind of interesting about it. It's kind of running a tournament right now. It makes it a little bit. It can make it a little risky, but at the same time, I think it's something interesting to explore as well.
Okay, your audio went a bit crazy there, but it's fine there.
After I finish talking, I love it.
But yeah, I mean, just like, it must be hard to get this tournament like wrapped up before the next patch comes out, before Fanfest even, really. Like, considering you'll be jetting off there.
I think we're going to have to be fairly strict with the matches, so I think the initial plan was come today when sign-ups close, which they won't now, extend them by a week. And that between now and then from 4 days, so between now and Wednesday, they could play their first round. The next 4 days they have time to play the next round, and I'd probably have to be pretty strict on that for this to get it done before May 6th. So we're going to have to tighten that even more, which is kind of a shame. Probably something I could have avoided earlier, but I just didn't notice this.
But you've seen interest at the very least. I mean, there were people actually coming to you and saying, "Hey, like I tried signing up and it didn't work. It wasn't like, complete."
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, actually, I had messages sent to Dust. I had messages sent to E. So people were like, "What's going on?" So we got that. Yeah, there's definitely people reached out to us to let us know that there was an issue.
Which is good, because that means there's like people who actually really want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. So when does it all kick off, really?
It was supposed to kick off today at 8 o'clock Central European time, but I'll actually change it now to next Saturday at 8 p.m. Central European Summertime. So as of now, we have an extra. Why are my admin commands not working?
Because you want them to.
Come on, Crow. Come on, Crow. There we go. Slowly doesn't want me to do it, but I tell it. Let's get it. There we go. Aha! Success.
But yeah, people can go sign up. And what's the website for it?
The website for it is www.consoles.net, and when you go on there, it will ask you to go to the UK, European, or... Oh no, it won't. Should just send you to consoles.net/EU. And from there, you just hover over the PlayStation 3 bar, and on there is just 514. Click it, and then you're on the section.
Cool. So if anybody wants to sign up, I take it there's still some spots left.
We have 3 sign-ups at the moment, because I only fixed the bug yesterday. I was only made aware of it yesterday. So they have a week to do that, and there's plenty of room, so we can have 13 more spots.
Cool. And there's a bunch of prizes as well, from what I've...
Yes.
There are, John.
And Quick Loves doesn't have to send an email for it. But oh yeah, the prizes for I think they're listed on the site, but I think this time around they're all community sponsored prizes for this tournament.
Do you want me to list them?
Yeah.
I've got them here. So we do have, for the main first, second, third prize, which is sponsored by Sentient Archon and the Galactic News Network, who will be providing coverage for the tournament. First place gets $100 worth of either PlayStation Network cards or Merc packs. Second gets $60 of the same thing. Third gets $40 the same thing. And then from Mr. Kane Sparrow, we have some different prizes. Most kills in a single match will get a Merc pack and a Dust 514 t-shirt. I would say as shown by Kane Sparrow, but he doesn't have one on. Poor planning there, dude.
No, they're wrapped in plastic. I'm not going to open them.
Okay. So they're ready to go. the most war points in a single match, which can't be the same as the most kills, because you already won something, gets a Dust 514 t-shirt and a Garista Saga pack. That's the LAV.
Yes. Yes, that comes with 20,000 ore, a 7-day skill booster, and basically all of the toxins, the HK4Ms, the hacked drop uplink, that sort of stuff. The same stuff that comes in a regular pack. So it's 20,000 less ore, a 7-day booster instead of a 30-day booster, and then everything else that comes in a Merc pack normally with the Saga, and then a Saga as well.
And then most confirmed orbital strike kills in a single match will reward a Plex to the firing pilots, and obviously we need proof of that. And then the special community prize sponsored by JL311, which we were debating on a moral ground if we should include it or not, is the Please Try Hard award. Please Try Harder award, which goes to the worst player in a match, I think.
Yes. It's I think it's the player with the worst KDR in the chance of a tie. The person with the lowest war points breaks the tie, and according to I think it's JR11, you have to publicly post said scores in order to qualify for the Please Try Harder award. I'll be interested. Me and Drake were talking about that and saying, well, I wonder if people are going to compete for that prize or not.
My team's losing. I'm just gonna Leroy Jenkins.
I'm gonna cook a nade, and there we go.
I could just grab a militia suit and just smack their head against the wall, and they get a GameStop Merc pack for that. Is that any different from a normal Merc pack?
I think you get a red
submachine
gun instead of a toxin. Is that the difference? Kane.
It's you actually.
You get a syndicate and a toxin. I bought that packet. The syndicate is a really nice bright red. Otherwise, it's the exact same as a toxin.
The syndicate, in my opinion, is the best looking gun in the game, and there's nothing better than running with a toxin syndicate as your sidearm and having a Grimlock as your main, because you're just red. You got red on both your weapons in your back. Got to play in style, right?
I actually run on one of my assaults a toxin in the main and a syndicate in the side slot. So it's just submachine guns. I really want to be able to do the Logi picture that they've put up, where he's got the 2 SMGs. Do a toxin and a syndicate that way.
I'd still just use a breach, a scrambler pistol on my Logis, because it's got the least amount of fitting, so I can put more stuff in where it counts in the equipment slots.
I've got all my skills up, so I can fit anything I want.
Damn you. Oh.
Well, yeah.
That sounds like me and Cerebral are going to make a team. And we'll just cook nades and kill each other the entire match.
Could we not veto that match under some sort of fair play, sportsman-like rule game?
What's not fair about it? They gave the other team a bye and got horrible scores.
I think you may or may. I'd be interested to see if you can get 14 other people to come along, knowing that you're just going to blow yourself.
Oh no, it's only 7.
Oh, that's right. I'm still looking ahead for the next build. That would be fine. You only have to get 6 other people to go along with it, I guess.
Except I'll be at Fanfest for most of the time, so I wouldn't be able to play.
Yeah. Yes. That Fanfest should be a lot of fun.
Oh.
Has there been any word on what's happening with the Fanfest tournament?
Not that I mean.
There hasn't been word at all about Fanfest. Most of the events at Fanfest.
I think it's going to be similar to what they ran last year, because 2 friends of mine from Hydra Reloaded won that. And I think it's going to be more or less the same.
I'm not sure what I would do with another Vita, though.
Yeah. Oh man, I cannot wait for. I really want to come out with that Vita app though, for sure.
Yeah, that's on my list of things
waiting
to
for it.
yell at people about.
Vita is currently the best, most expensive email device in the world, I think.
Dude, Netflix and YouTube.
Nah, I'm not really a YouTube, Netflix kind of guy. I just kind of like, is anyone talking to me? Nope. I'll just go to sleep then.
I have it sitting next to me while I'm playing Eve on my laptop at work, so, you know.
Fair enough. It is a nice little console, though. Quite cool. I think the companion app, the Dust companion app, will let you change fittings and sort the market out directly from that, which will be pretty cool.
Well, the interesting thing, after doing some research into it, what they may actually end up doing is if they slate Dust to be one of the streaming titles, essentially one of the ways they're providing backwards compatibility with the PS4 is through, I'm going to butcher the name, Gaikai. Sony bought up a gaming streaming company. So something we may, thank you. We may end up with the ability to, and one of the things is they would say, okay, not only we're going to have this streaming capability for the PS4, but we can also open it up to streaming PS3 games to the Vita. So I wouldn't be surprised if you actually have the full game, the full Dust experience potentially on the Vita. There are probably going to be some restrictions, I'd imagine, but it'd be interesting to see. I mean, it's honestly, if that ends up being the case, I think the Vita is going to be something that almost any EVE CEO that has a really large organization, I mean, because if you think about it, you can manage your corp on the go with the Vita. And I think it's kind of, you may see people adding Dust characters just for that reason, I think.
I'm just reminded of the PS4. Some guy did a spoof of the PS4 press release thing, and I'm just hearing the I really want you to buy a PS Vita.
Yeah.
Please buy a PS Vita, please. Yes.
Never stop being a dragon.
Hi, I'm the CEO of PlayStation 4, and I'm happy to say that my face is rendered entirely using Unreal 3.
We will have to have a link to that on your little show links at the bottom, because that thing's fantastic.
It is. Although I feel bad for the people who made it, because like they haven't actually made anything that good since.
Well,
they have this huge
really
expectation
hard to
of them
follow
there.
something up like that, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe when they do the Xbox Next stuff.
I'm actually really looking forward to that press release, purely just because I want to laugh at them. But
Yeah, the TGS podcast that went on Wednesday had a really good plan for what Xbox should do.
But anyway, Xbox Dust is not on Xbox, so we'll move on from that. I mean, I have a couple more questions before, like I just want to talk about like Dust's future in esports, I guess you could say. But
well, I tried to. I was emailing one of my. I'll call him one of my superiors to make him feel, make him smile a bit. But I was asking because he's trying to run something else for Dust, and what that encompasses, he refuses to tell me because he knows I'd leak it to the player base. So that's, and I quote, where is it? Don't talk about anything other than the current competition you're working on. And you can say, and then in quotes, looking forward to expanding on and doing more up for Dust, hopefully in the future. He's trying to play it safe, but CSP are really very easy to work with, and I think they'll be very open to it. So I think there will be a lot more coming for ESL. Like originally, I didn't think we'd be up this fast, but thanks to Kane egging me on and reminding me that I need to do this and that, and I got it done quite fast. So I think in terms of where I'm at, is much further ahead of schedule than what I originally thought.
So you will be doing like more stuff with Dust after this.
Yeah, of course. But the only limiting factor at the moment is the next build casts a lot of doubt on if it's going to be possible to organise just something that allows competitive if they're removing the club battles feature. So if it's still in, or when they add it back in, then I'll just be right in there. If anyone wants to just do anything, the ESL site's basically yours to command. Just get in touch with me.
Yeah, I don't really see people wanting to throw down a Geno pack every single match. I think that would be...
Yeah. There's ways to do it, but honestly, it's gonna have to take planetary conquest settling in, and kind of all of the neighbors getting established. I think for some of the ideas I have in terms of continuing competitive play, even if it's not directly supported. There are workarounds, but the workarounds are expensive, and it may not necessarily include a gen pack, but any match that involves planetary districts, I mean, you're looking at millions of ISK, because one side's going to lose 150 clones, guaranteed. So
it's a minimum of like 80 mil ISK.
But yeah, it's 80 mil ISK for the clone packs, and I think the price of clones for districts is essentially it's 100K. So it's 533,000 if you buy from Genelution. It's about 100,000 if you kind of grow your own, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot of ISK to be sinking into tournaments. So hopefully we can get something before then.
Planetary Conquest is going to eat a lot of ISK. My estimates are somewhere on the range of 30 billion the first day. For Dust, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, because if you think about it, it's you're looking at 80 million ISK per district times extrapolated to 250 districts.
250 districts, it's 20 billion ISK, and that's only one group going after one district. If
and
you
that's
do 50%,
not including fittings or anything.
Right. If you do I estimate about 50% overlap. That's where you get to 30 billion, and that's just for the first day. So
and you're not,
10 billion of that just go on because somebody's going to lose.
Oh gosh, and then day two with the 50% overlap, if then you incorporate fitting cost, and a fitting cost of anywhere between 10 million to 50 million or higher of ISK per fight.
Yeah.
You're
looking in the
wow.
50 to 100 billion ISK range in the first week.
Well, the tanks alone, the Marauders are like 2.5 mil for a top fit, so per tank. So
well, they are going to change some of the prices, but they're not going to get much cheaper.
Yeah. Well, I know, because I know at the CCP's goal, I think, is they don't want the Genelution packs to be profitable.
No,
I guess they
not at all.
So.
I guess even if there was a way to run tournaments just with standard corp battles like we have now, but with 16 versus 16, people wouldn't be able to do them because everybody would be broke.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think it might be interesting to use always the barrier is going to be the upfront cost of those 150 clones that get lost in a match. But I think it would be interesting if to maybe do small stuff, maybe 4v4, or even on the extreme end do dueling, 1v1 dueling, but not, and then just have it based on whoever the first to 50 kills, or and stuff like that. But like I said, we're gonna have to wait and see how Planetary Conquest settles, because if the fighting's really hot and everyone's going at each other, and it takes it could be a while before things settle down enough to even consider any kind of incorporating a competitive aspect into Planetary Conquest on the side, because it would essentially be, it'd have to be two or more organizations working together in a kind of a neutral fashion, and we'll just have to kind of see how that goes.
One of the fixes for that might be, I'm probably going to get yelled at for this. One of the CCP guys was in IRC this morning talking about subcontracting. They don't have anything done for it. It's just something they're talking about at the office. And they've talked about it before, allowing you to subcontract out your corp battles. And so, do a tournament corp, and then have it subcontract out battles. And it might be able to work that way.
So something like Dust Uni is hopefully having its own little planet, so they would be almost perfect for that.
Bojo and Dust Uni is definitely something that is potentially possible. The only issue is the planet they happen to have chosen. Looking at the scheme of things in the map, I think it may be of too much strategic significance for them to be able to just kind of have it on their own. We'll have to see, because the thing is, it's a very defensible location, so I could see actually people who don't even grace the forums at all and don't know who Dust Uni or Bojo is, actually saying, hey, I like this location, let me go take some land here. Who's this Dust Uni people? I don't care. Bah, So...
Yeah, I mean, there's, even, not including people who don't read the forums, there are people who don't speak English who, will have no idea.
Exactly. There's a reason that EVE University has never taken sovereignty. Anytime I understand that capturing land on a planet is not necessarily considering taking sov, but the way it is, as soon as you own land or you own something, you kind of are almost guaranteed to be entered into a political environment. It's just one of the ups and downs. I think the player community is very supportive of what Bojo and Dust Uni do. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So we'll just have to it'll be a wait and see, and I think by the end of the first week we'll really know a lot more in terms of where things are. After D-Day, as I call it.
Okay. I think we'll know a lot more in about a week and a half.
Yeah. Wow, it's actually not that long until Fanfest. One more boots on the ground after this one, and then Fanfest.
Oh yeah. You should definitely try to do a short boots on the ground from a Fanfest themed boots on the ground. That might be interesting.
Maybe one on the Monday afterwards.
Yeah.
Get people who've been watching the streams.
Right, well, I'll still be in Iceland at that point.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not feeling very much pity for people who are going to be at FanFest not being able to get on the show, especially after.
Come on.
Especially after. So after the show with Hans and Gradaris, we were just talking, and they were saying, "Oh, it's going to be great going to FanFest," and I was like, "Oh," and I was trying to make myself feel better, so I say, "Oh, I can watch everything."
He lives down the street.
But I can watch everything because I'll be home watching on the streams, and that'll be a great thing. And then Gradaris just turns to me, well, not figuratively turns to me and just goes, "Nah, that's rubbish." It's oh.
No, the only way to watch everything is wait until they upload it all to Twitter.
Yeah.
And then spend 4 days watching it all off, or not Twitter, YouTube. Yeah, I'm been up for a long time.
Oh. But yeah, I need to check out some of the things live, I think, though. Some of the keynotes and the lag panel that Veritas does, because it's always amazing. But yeah, I had a couple more questions about ESL before we go on to sort of general esports stuff. And that was how much support are you getting from CCP and interaction with them?
For me, at the moment, personally, nothing, because I wasn't the first person to get to CCP from ESL, so they're in talks from what I can tell. So I don't really want to hop in there and introduce myself and talk about something else and kind of have the smother them with people. So for me, absolutely nothing. But in the future, I'll try and weasel my way in there. and get something.
But as an organisation, ESL is actually in talks with CCP.
They are in talks. They met them at... There were 3 game shows in the past few months. There was one in Germany, then there was PAX, and there was another one, and they were talking with one of our guys there at all 3, so...
Yeah, and it was, it'd be the Germany PAX and then San Francisco, I do believe. GDC is what it was, I think.
Okay.
Say again, I couldn't hear a word you were saying then, you kind of lagged out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my connection's going bonkers. I said the third one was GDC. I think it was GDC in San Francisco was the other meetup.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. I mean, like, ESL's going to be doing Dust stuff. Has there been any thoughts about doing EVE stuff?
I thought about it, but it's really hard to get something in EVE. As if you watch the EVE, CCP are doing these videocast streams every Tuesday, and they did the EVE one. I posed a question: will CCP allow tools to do something competitive? And the problem with EVE is it's a sandbox, and the SEL is closest we were getting to CCPs running things, and I think it's so hard to do a tournament in EVE without either CCP's help, from their devs or their GMs coming over and actually helping you run everything, or someone coming along, probing you down and murdering everyone, which would be quite amusing, but if there were prizes on the line, I can see people would get kind of annoyed. So it's a difficult one, and my motivation for EVE is going down as Dust goes up. I'm slowly going off EVE, so it wouldn't be something I would be looking at, but if someone was willing to try it, I'm open to it.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, SCL, it, exists, and there's already, people doing, tournaments for EVE, so I guess, there is actually, people running it already. So, if you are interested in the EVE tournaments, then they do exist.
Yeah. So it's doable as SCL's shown, but at the same time, SCL are doing it already.
Yeah.
And they have help with CCP already.
Yeah. I think one of the things that always is from talking with CCP about tournaments and stuff like that, they're very adamant about player participation and player involvement and even player run events, because I think they see it as part of the sandbox. So you can be...
You can do whatever you want, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if, no one's going to stop... If somebody wants to arrange a defensive fleet around a system, and that system's going to be the place for a tournament, and they can hold the line, and have people do duels inside of it, that's... I think, to me, the cool thing about the idea for tournaments in EVE, yes, there's a little unpredictability to it, so sometimes it may not lend itself to maybe formal MLG-style stuff necessarily, but at the same time, I think there's kind of an excitement to it because it's unpredictable, because anything could happen. For all you know, someone could hot drop an enemy fleet into the middle of a duel and blow just to blow everybody up. And I think some of that excitement was definitely present in the Orbital Strike tournament as well. Because at the final match, you had Unclaimed with that 200-man fleet, and then you had Raffle with their 50-man fleet. And the whole deal is, at the same time, they started getting intelligence that a goon, with the goon fleet coming in and threatening to blow up everybody that was in orbit. So I think the dynamics cause issues, but I think at the same time it gives EVE and Dust a flavor that other sports don't have. I mean, you don't talk about a COD tournament and say, oh man, we better hurry up and finish these matches because unfortunately it looks like the tourney field is going to be orbitally bombarded. Please stand by. We have a short delay while our defensive fleet clears the field. I mean, in a kind of in a way, it's very much in the vein of simulating a universe. You know, it's simulating what would happen if people were in the New Eden universe and they were trying to arrange blood sports or tournaments or what have you. What things would they have to deal with? And one of the things they would have to deal with is pirates and raiders and all kinds of fun and interesting things. And like I said, I think that's, to me, one of the things that makes the idea of sports involved in New Eden so unique, so awesome, and so exciting, is because you can't get that anywhere else. You can't get that kind of interaction, that kind of openness to a kind of a sporting event. You don't, no one thinks about watching NFL and then worrying about, people coming out of the woodwork and tackling people and stuff.
That's fine in the NFL because the players do that for you.
Yes, true.
It'd be more. New Eden is more like watching Brazilian soccer, where the fans start rushing the players on the field in the middle of the match.
Yeah, that's actually like a thing that happens in like football in the UK from time to time. Like people will like run on field and throw coins at the ref and stuff like that.
Because they think they can do better. I'm just going to put it as I don't mind football as a sport, but as like the business thing, I absolutely despise it. Just like, don't get me started.
They've had people chuck grenades at refs in
what?
Football. Yeah. It was,
I
think about
the video
6 months ago. Yeah. It's like, who brings a grenade to a soccer game?
I remember.
Of course, right?
Yes, Goonstorm.
Goonstorm of soccer.
Oh, that was actually really like hilarious because the player didn't realize what it was, so he just sees someone throw something on the field, grabs it, and then just throws it away, and then it explodes.
He tossed it away perfect time to make it. I mean, I think some people still got hurt in that, but it could have been a lot worse if that player hadn't been thinking, yeah.
Maybe he didn't know what it was. He was just like, I don't need it.
But I could definitely see a combined tournament using that philosophy where, you bring, you've got your Dust team, and then you're allowed to bring 20 pilots to the orbital section, and you're going to fight the other 20 pilots from the other orbital section, and we can't guarantee that Goonswarm aren't going to hot drop you with a capital fleet.
Yeah, exactly. And then throwing in betting to it as well. I mean, you could have potential like somebody sets up bets, and then somebody's like, "Oh, I could make a lot of money if I try to influence the match this way or that way." I mean, to me, you get kind of that prohibition style of organized crime influence into sporting events in a way too, in a certain extent. There's a lot of angles and a lot of plays that can be made, and I think what it is that, to me, that drives interest, and that makes it more exciting. You have to, it has to be controlled to a certain extent. I think it would be awesome to have tiers, like you have more controlled tiers of kind of competitive play. So maybe high-sec competitive play in Dust, it's more controlled, it's more set up, it's maybe run by NPCs or something, who knows. And then you have like low-sec, competitive play, and just have it get more and more dynamic as you go down the line.
Cool. I mean, something that I was actually mentioning I had a conversation with RockDoc like about a week ago now, I think it was.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking about when broadcasting tools come in for Dust, and I mean, I had some thoughts on them, but I know RockDoc had some fairly strong opinions on like EVE players with them.
It was more of, they were great ideas, and to be honest, I really think we need the tools to broadcast matches better. We need to be able to, hey, I'm playing a match without having to do hookup cards and XSplit and all this other stuff to stream the matches, because people love watching them. But in a real-time battle, like in a tournament, that intel can and will be used by your enemy team to murder you. If they know where you are and they have the ability to get that intel, they will have it and they will kill you. It's part of the meta for EVE. You know, I'm still in mailing lists for corporations I haven't been in 6 years. And I use that intel all the time to screw with them. Because I can, because they never kicked me out of the mailing list. If you've got the tools in place to be able to ghost watch a match that's happening, people will figure out a way to get a ghost on the enemy team and use that to completely dominate that match. And, I mean, it's a great tool. We kind of need that, but it either needs to be not real-time, or it needs to be limited in some fashion that it can't be gamed.
Yeah. Maybe setting up official spectators or something like that. I don't, like someone is designated as officials or something. I don't know. The thing is, would there be a way to make it not real time? Could you do, like, could the code of the match be spit out at like a 5-minute delay?
Yeah,
so
that's what Dota 2 does. There's a 2-minute delay on just public spectators who are watching the match.
Now, oh, go ahead.
I can definitely, I mean, with the time dilation abilities that CCP has coded into the Tranquility engines, I could definitely see a possibility of time delayed. I mean, it'd probably be a lot of coding to pull off, but it's definitely an option. Even if they just record the match server side, and then, you know, give the option of watching it back as a spectator.
Yeah. It just be, I know that being a live tool is important. I think it may be that you just have it to where the people who can spectate certain matches is kind of set up by standings. Maybe that's an avenue to do that as well. And you can, and both sides kind of have to agree to who can spectate and who can't spectate. Maybe that may be an avenue as well. I don't know.
Spies.
Well, exactly. That's why I say, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is the one reason why when everybody says that Dust and EVE are two separate games, I tell them that's not true. Because it's the metagame. The metagame for both is the same thing. It's the same metagame for both games. And if you try to treat it differently, it's not going to work, because the EVE players that also play Dust will use every single option that they have. Yeah. Every single thing that CCP says, here's this, go play with it, they will find a way to use that to their advantage, just like they do in EVE. And until CCP tells them, you are not allowed to do this, they're going to do it.
And they'll use it anyway, well, after they're not allowed to.
Well, you know, maybe the way to do it would be almost, you know, for stuff where money is on, you know, prizes and that sort of stuff is on the line. Maybe have it to where it's like an administrative channel, and only the admins for that event or that sort of thing can actually do the spectating. So maybe that would be a solution in terms of higher end competitive play, maybe not just random matches.
They could have an ISD division for it.
Well, I mean, I don't think you need. Well, what I would like to see is I would like to see players be able to arrange their own events, and I would like, you know, if someone were to arrange an event, that sort of thing. Let's say, you know, ESL has characters inside of Dust, you know, and that sort of thing. Make it to where they can say only ESL can spectate in this match while these people are fighting, that sort of thing. I think that would be a little bit more open, but I mean, definitely having ISD involvement as well could be an option too.
Because I know quite a few of the ISDs that are on the content guys. You know, if you email them, they'll come and watch your fleet fight. You know, devs will come and watch your fleet fight because they can get data from it. They love it. Some of them get too close and get their ships destroyed by Spart bombs, but you know.
I'm glad there was no smart bombs being used on that tournament file. The funny thing is I ended up getting blown up because I was AFK on a gate tweeting out the results of the match. You ever go? See, I thought I had turned on my cloaking, but I had not. So I just decloaked on the gate, and then all of a sudden I hear horrible sounds of my ship dying. I'm like, oh, son of a... And I hadn't lost a ship in years, so I was a little put off, because I'm very careful about that. Oh well.
Alright, I'd like to know Charlie's thoughts on this.
On which, sorry, I phased out a little there.
Like players ghosting and that being like it's very seen as like horrific. Well, in a lot of ways, in like say the StarCraft community, like if someone gets caught ghosting, then that's a huge deal, and people can get kicked off teams and lose sponsors and stuff over that kind of thing. But in EVE, like it's just kind of part of the game.
Yeah, in StarCraft and things like that, it's very closed. There's a lot of set rules and things like that what you can and can't do, and that doesn't really go with EVE. So if we allowed, we could actually allow some spectators or something, and they could buy in a spectator to ghost, and that money goes to the prize pool. But it depends. It could be what the player base. This would be something that they could argue and talk about, but in the metagame of EVE, it should be allowed that if you can get an advantage, take it, because that is the metagame of EVE. But on an esports side, people would say they're cheating and these guys may not be. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the fun of New Eden.
Yeah, that's just like there's no ethics in New Eden. There's no. If you can do it, why not? Go and.
There is. Keep it in game.
Yes.
The ethics are, if it's allowed in game, do it. Don't bring out of game into it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cut people's power.
Yes.
The Russians only did that once, man.
I did still think that maybe it's a telephoned elaborate rumor, because I always hear it in different ways. First it's like first it's like, oh, the internet was disabled, and then I hear like an actual like underground internet cables cut, and then I also hear that actual power lines were completely disconnected and stuff like that. So I think something may have happened, but part of it may just be more telephoning and gossip circles. Who knows?
Yeah, but those are always the fun stories anyway.
That's true. That's true, I guess.
But yeah, it's certainly something interesting. I'd love to, because I know some people from CCP watch the show. I think I'll link this bit to Bro as well. He seems very, like, almost like the esports guy at Dust, or at CCP even. Oh,
Soundwave.
Link to this. Soundwave? Oh yeah, because
he does all the commentary for the Alliance tournament.
Yeah, wasn't he like a big factor in them keeping doing Alliance tournaments? I seem to remember hearing that.
Well,
yeah, it's really expensive the way they do the tournament, because they fly people in and they do set up a studio and all that stuff. So
yeah, I know that CC. I mean, just from speaking and passing when I was at PAX and at the player gathering in Boston, I mean, there's definitely an interest in sporting events in New Eden. I mean, there is still, that's not something I think that's going to go away. It's just a matter of overcoming, hurdles and obstacles and barriers, and solving problems and having the community address problems, like what Rockduck has brought up in terms of the ghosting and for matches and that sort of thing. I think a lot of it is going to be through the community, is how a lot of this stuff is going to get sorted out at the end of the day.
The War Council will be helpful once they ever figure out who's on it.
Kane. Yeah, I think there's almost a running joke that like everybody thinks Kane should be on the War Council.
Kane, Gritterus, Nova.
Who else?
I think there's always on the thread something about iron. I don't know, but
Everybody keeps calling for quick gloves and regnum as well, and it's like
which regnum? Which regnum would you put on? No.
Well, let's see. Considering they're all the same guy, and he's been banned so many times, it's not even funny. And he still blames me for him getting banned. None of them personally.
There are so many regnums now. I lose track. And you know what the funny thing is? There's now regnums that regnum doesn't even have anything to do with. So now it's like the V for Vendetta mask, so people put on the regnum to name and before their free account and post. Oh, he's kind
He
of
actually
like
got in trouble for one of those. He's like, it's not mine.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's kind of a can of worms you can open up, to say the least. To say the least.
I'm just imagining making a, like, Starfire Regnum.
Yeah. I vote yes. I vote yes. There should be Starfire Regnum now. Or Regnum Starfire.
Oh. Man, if, like, because at the beginning I put BPOs on my alt, so I can't actually delete them until
They're trading again.
until there's trading.
Trading. I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of. I mean, I want some kind of economy, and I want it soon because it makes base economic interaction opens up all kinds of possibilities, and not only that, I honestly think one of the cruxes for actually facilitating esports in a player-based way through planetary conquest is really it would be helped so much by being able to do direct trading and direct ISK transfers between from duster to duster, because you could say, you know, hey, give us the money to do this, so then our team can do, teams could then put in buy-ins very easily without having to have without necessarily necessitating some kind of third-party service, that sort of thing. But I mean, I set up the Sparrow escrow services, because as soon as I heard CCP was entertaining the idea of not allowing direct player trading, I'm like, look, there's going to be people who want to do it, and I will be more than happy when that's not necessary, in all honesty. I mean, whether it's trading, if they put in a corp hangar, you could actually trade items indirectly using an escrow service, because you could put things in the corp hangar, escrow, and you could. It's just more work. Why make it more work? Why not just make there be some sort of player economy? In my opinion.
Well, that's one of the things they've been talking about. They keep the industry on the down low because they don't want to screw up the EVE economy, which it would be tied to. But that's one of the things that drives EVE. EVE's economy is people produce because people want to destroy. The more people destroy, the more people can produce. The more money that's made, the more people that can buy stuff to blow up, and on and on and on.
War is good, especially for these games. I mean,
war is great. Since moving out to Null, I've made about $200 million in selling destroyers at $1 a pop because they get blown up every day, and people just keep buying them from me.
Yeah, I mean, even if we're not tied into the EVE economy, I do think that we really need a base player economy. And like you said before, the fact that they're talking about subcontracting as well, I think the more types of economic interaction between players that we can have, the better off the health of the game will be in the long run. Honestly, if you can implement player trading for money, you can eliminate not all, but you can eliminate many of the pay-to-win arguments. Because if someone who plays the game a lot takes and is very wealthy, can then buy, let's say, a booster, or buy, this ore weapon or this ore suit, that kind of stuff for ISK, it makes it to where even people who don't have or want to put like a credit card up or actually put money in and that sort of thing, it makes it to where there is no part of the game that they cannot access. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time efficiency. It really is what it boils down to at that point.
Yeah, I've got 8 toxins. I only need 1. Let me sell the other 7.
Yeah, I mean that's a perfect example because not only that, in a way, it rewards people. It would reward people who have bought a lot of Merc packs or bought a lot of the starter packs, the tank, the armor tank, specials and all that kind of stuff. I mean, to me, I wonder if there's got to be some coding barriers to it, and I know they don't want to create. I don't necessarily think they need to make it to where there's market orders and stuff like that just for Dust. I think their end goal is to make it to where Dust, if you go to the Dust market to sell and buy and put up a buy order and stuff like that, it's actually the same stuff as the EVE side.
If you look at it on EVE on the market, it's all there. It's all ready to go. It's just turned off for all the EVE players because we have no use for those items and they don't want us to have them. Otherwise, we'd stock up on billions of tanks.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's all there and ready to go on Tranquility. They just need to enable it, but they don't want to enable it before... Because, again, once it's enabled, it's in the market, it's there, and if it screws up, it destroys the EVE economy. And I think they're afraid of doing that.
See, what I wonder, though, is if they can't... Because right now, EVE players cannot buy, sell, or trade Dust items. I wonder if they could just go ahead, incorporate the Dusters into the EVE market, but make it to where they can only buy, sell, and trade Dust equipment for right now, and they can't touch EVE stuff. So you have them exist in parallel, kind of thing. I mean, I even know even the corp hangars are there. I was on Sissy one time and looked in, and every single member in my corporation had a hangar at an office that I set up. So, I mean, it's implemented, but it's not, in terms of whether or not it's actually fully switched on or how they're going to make it work. I mean, it'll be, hopefully, maybe we'll have some surprises on May 6th in terms of some of that kind of interaction.
Yeah, I plan on cornering quite a few devs and going, give me information. I will give you hot dogs. Because you guys will all be plying them with beer. I can't do that, so I'll be silvering them up with hot dogs.
Oh, that's right. I owe you a quaif when we get to FanFest. That's right, for the awesome help that you did with the Dust Stats website for the tournament. So, tried to offer you a drink, but I know you gotta. I'll get you a quaif.
Why do you want to kill me?
No, a quaif will have to do.
Yeah, I'm actually, as of this morning, 297 tracked mercenaries.
Nice.
So 3 short of 300.
Hey,
actually, we're still in beta too, so I'm doing pretty good. I will say this. I will have. Some people are mystified by the combo ratio and all that kind of thing, but if you get a chance, go to dust514stats.com, register your character. One of the coolest things that I found is the tracking method. It gives you graphs. It gives you all kinds of cool stuff. So you can be like, wow, I'm doing really good. And what the heck happened? Oh, that's when that happened that week. That's why that's going down. And no, it's back up again. It's really cool to see your performance over time. I cannot wait till they give you CREST or APIs or anything. Please, because I want ISK efficiency. I want performance over time. Oh yeah. I've been talking to PrismX, who is now once again the lead on CREST. He was and then wasn't, and then he's now back, I think. Not quite sure on that one, but he says they're waiting on the web team. The web team says they're waiting on the code team. It's a mess. But I've got a lot of that set up in the background. I've got the systems in place. Right now, when you register a character, I go to the EVE API. And now the only thing I can actually do with the API at the moment is check and make sure that that character name exists. Now, the really nice thing is Dust characters have a specific prefix on the front of their database code. So if you enter in an Eve pilot, it'll come back with a number, but it won't have that prefix on it. And so I will know instantly whether or not that character is a Dust Merc, or an Eve pilot, or an NPC, or doesn't exist at all. And so I can actually remove the non-functioning pilots from the database. Right now I actually have them turned off. I have almost 500 characters in the database. Only 297 of them are real. Or Dust Mercs. There are some real Eve pilots, but they're not Dust Mercs, so they don't count. But
Eve pilot wanting another KDR.
But I've got all that set up in the background. So, once I get, the JSON tags and how it all works, I can plug that right in. Right now I'm tracking 14 stats per merc and something like 23 to 25 per corporation, because we actually get we get an extra stat for the corporations that we don't get for the mercs, which is wins. So I can do a lot more with corps because I can separate out their wins and losses based on the win-loss ratio. And it just gives me so much. But I have plans for things like ISK efficiency, losses depending on how they do the wallet updates, and if they do module updates on your assets and stuff like that, I should be able to pull it out and say, okay, you lost 100,000 ISK in this match, and you got so many kills and stuff. Just like right now I do the support per death. I think that's an actually pretty good one. And I get a lot of people going, why do you have so many support stats? And I'm like, because it's not just a Logi skill, and I get that a lot. And everybody should have a decent support stat, because that's what you're supporting your team. But yeah, it's the CREST is going. If they give me the data I want, CREST can make tracking stats for tournaments great. Yeah. Because I can say, this API is on this team, and then I can pull all that data just for that.
I think, because I know from entering in stuff from the round robin, it was a pain. It was a pain. Oh my gosh. And then someone, I think the original idea was to actually have track stats over the course of the actual double elimination tournament. And someone's like, hey, Kane, rather than doing that, why don't you just do the most kills in a single match? And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for having that thought. Because after doing the round robin and tracking, I had spreadsheets. I'll do spreadsheets. I played E for 8 years. I have to have at least 1 point into spreadsheet management. So, but automation would be fantastic. Even if we get an initial CREST system that we can only read from and not write to, I think I'd be, I don't know, Ruckduck, if that would make you much happier. Or...
Oh, I don't need to write anything. I just want data.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you say that for the teams. I do that twice a week for the corporations, and there's 32 of those. It takes me almost an hour just to update the corp stats.
Oh, man. I can imagine.
Of course, I don't have to interpret really, really bad screenshots to get my stats. I just go to the leaderboards.
I'm like, please, just hold the camera still or something. I'm like, every time I got a completely crystal clear shot, I was so ecstatic. I'm like, and then of course for every crystal clear one, there'd be one that was blurry. But I got to the point where I would ask them to take a shot of the whole scoreboard, and then a shot of each side of the scoreboard, because generally that was easier for them to manage in terms of getting it clear and legible.
Yeah, I remember the shots you sent me going, can you read this?
Yes. I'm like, I think that's a 0, but it could be an 8, but I know it's not a 7.
I got a couple of them, but Yeah, that was bad.
Well, I did put a stipulate. I think that's one of the things I put a stipulation in for the community prizes. If I can't read if they're not read, they're not going to be eligible for any kind of most kills or most war points and stuff like that. So.
I have to say, one of the coolest things, and it's actually going to be really useful for commentators in the future because they love stats. It's great for them. Someone just hands them a sheet of paper with loads of stats on it. It's oh, I can talk about loads of things for half an hour. But
yeah,
one of my favorite things about Alliance Tournament 10 was that they had was it Interstellar Correspondence who did stuff for that? And they had a little thing on their website which is how much ISK has been destroyed, how much ISK has been fielded, and I thought that was such a cool little thing, little detail that they put in, but you can glean quite a lot from that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would love to have a sporting event that's centered around Dust, and you have announcers talking about it, and then all of a sudden the Mercs picture and profile comes up, and it's they're doing really well in this area, but my God, their support stats are really bad.
He's got a .1. What is he doing? We actually have people with a .1 support stat.
Wow. But that's really hard to...
Regnum's pissed about that, by the way, too.
Tell him he needs to update.
He's got a .18, which means really all he's doing is kill assists. That's it.
Yeah, well, it's people stealing his kills, of course,
Yeah. But
that's one stat that I would love for them to add into the leaderboards is kill, death, and assist. I think because that would definitely allow you to separate out from war points. Is this person doing more direct killing, or are they doing more?
Is he getting points from hacks, or is he getting points from assisting kills?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in an ambush match, you don't really need the support stat because all you're doing is just murdering people. But in faction warfare, in the corp battles, in planetary conquest, you need people that are well-rounded. I mean, you're still going to need your mass murderers. But he needs to be backed up by a Logi or a guy who's going to hack a point.
It's a role. It's to the way I look at it in terms of that kind of stat. It's someone who is specialization is always kind of an important factor in Eve, and I think that's definitely going to come into play with Dust, especially with the new skills that have come out in which weapons are broken. Support skills for weapons are broken down specific to the weapon. I think one of the things, especially in the 8v8s, Slayers have been extremely important. And the fact of the matter is, if you can outslay the team in an 8v8, if you have one person slaying very well can tie up, 3 to 4 people on the other team.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, there's definitely. That's the thing. To me, I see it more as someone has laser beam focused on a particular role. I think if someone had a support ratio of, a really, really, really bad support ratio and really bad stats in addition to that as well, I think that would be even more telling. But I think in order to compensate for low support stats, you absolutely have to shine in terms of decimating the other team.
Yeah, his KDR is insane. I mean, it's crazy. He's ranked, I think, 19th out of almost 300 people. He's pissed off about that. You're the top 20. You're one of the 20 best guys we track on the site. You're let down by your support stat, but you're still insanely good.
Well, I think that's one thing that's pretty consistent throughout our organization is people always are striving to be top tier in anything and everything they do. So it's kind of funny when someone the conversations I've on the comms and stuff, it's like, oh man, I only went Like, I went 20 and 5. I died 5 times. That's absolutely wretched. I should only have died 2 times or 1 time. I'm like, if you knew what it's like to be a forge gun and support. But it's neither here nor there. There's a place for all types of players, though. I definitely think though. So, you get slayers and you got your support roles. I think your players can be well-rounded, but at the same time, at the end of it, really what matters is how well-rounded your team and your organization are.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks afterwards and going forwards. Just because right now, unfortunately, matches and corp matches are all bugged so that your stats don't update from them, which is horrible because that's the only matches I play. I don't really play ambush. And when I play, I get like a match a day, maybe. I hate my schedule so much.
So what about the? I've heard from a couple of different places that they're considering doing a stat reset, and I don't know how is that going to.
Surprisingly, not so much after the last wipe. I put in systems in place where I can wipe the stats database without wiping your character, and it won't break the site. So, like, if I decide, it's getting kind of bloated, I need to wipe the stats because they're just crazy, and you can come back in, and your character will still be there, you'll still have the name, you just hit update, and there you go, you're all done. You don't have to recreate it, you don't have to do any of that. Mostly because it was really, really hard after the first reset getting everything back running. Because it broke a lot of things with not being able to display characters. Because that was all hard-coded into the web pages, where if there was nothing to display, the page would freak out and just stop working.
I remember breaking your site a couple of times. Yeah.
You can't put in 0 for kills and have.
But remember, I would do things. I would like log in, and I would be like halfway through updating a stat, and then I would like go eat dinner and come back, and I would completely like foobarred everything on my character, and like. Yeah,
because your account timed out, and you're updating a character that doesn't have accounts attached to it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it made everything better in the end, right? I feel like I feel like I'm a good beta tester. That makes.
Yeah, because I went in and put in a check for when it goes through the update script. Is this person logged in? If not, it kicks it out.
Yes.
I just thought of something. Well, I have a couple of things that I wanted to mention, but one of them was maybe like in StarCraft they do season resets, so your stats reset every season, but you keep the old stats and they split it up. Do you reckon that could be something we could see in Dust?
It's possible, because of the way the data's entered into the database, they store everything. I mean, they've got chat logs from 2003 that they've still got stored someplace. That's where there was a controversy that they're reading everybody's emails. Of course they are. They've got them sitting on a server someplace so that you can get to them. Of course somebody can get to them. So I couldn't see why they couldn't go, okay, these are the stats for this year. These are your lifetime stats. And then at January 1st every year, you start a new year of stats. They all get added to your lifetime stats, but the leaderboards and stuff only update for the yearly or monthly or weekly.
Yeah.
I could certainly see that because they're all time coded when they're put into the database.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love to see if they could do that. Then I would love to see actually saying, what are my stats starting from this day to this day, and get little snippets of your character and stuff like that. That would be awesome. I think.
That's actually on my list of things I have to add to my site. I've got a list like this long of stuff that people have like, you need to do this on your site, and I'm like, we add it to the list so that when I figure out how to code it, I can put it on.
But like, I'd love to see something like I mean, you'd have to put some parameters so like someone just doesn't have a KDR infinite, but like maybe every 3 months, like if you get some like sponsor from somewhere, or if CCP decided to give you some prizes, like you could do something like every 3 months the top person in like this stat gets a Merc pack or something, or BPO or something like that. Just like add a bit more, like it's sort of competition without like a tournament competition. Like it's a different kind.
Yeah, like a kind of like a league or something in a way. Huh. I think that's a very interesting idea. I think that'd be worth exploring for sure.
Just don't do it for KDR. People just snipe all day every day.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And they would never move.
No, they just get in the tank. There you go.
That's why I don't add corps off of the win-loss ratio leaderboard or the KDR leaderboard, because it's like they played one match, they got a really good KDR, got them to the top of the leaderboard, and that's it. They just stopped using that account. And I mean, you look at the stats for those guys, and it's like, I'm never going to find them on any of the other leaderboards to get the rest of their stats. There's no way I can do that.
Yeah.
I guess like the only you could put something in though, like say you have to get 1,000 kills for KDR to actually count.
Yeah, I think that would be a great help, because right now I think the KDR board and the win-loss boards are completely messed up, because it's like for some reason it's calculating at like 300 win-loss ratio, or I mean
that's because win-loss ratio isn't a win-loss ratio. It's actually a participation rate ratio. That's like if you won, you minimum is like 0.75 if all you did was stand in an MCC and didn't contribute, to like a 2 if you were the highest guy on the team. And if you lost, you can still actually get a 1 if you did everything for your team. So I've had this discussion with she's gonna kill me. One of the devs that works with the leaderboards, and it's filtering the database is one, or the data is one thing. Putting limitations on what the data can be is something completely out. If somebody has a 50 KDR and they've only done one match, they still have a 50 KDR. Yes, you should be able to filter that out, but without filters, that data should still be there. There shouldn't be a limit. And I kind of agree with that, strictly from a data standpoint.
Yeah.
The data is the data. You can't change that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
But if you want to filter, that's different.
Oh, that might be kind of... I actually could see that being of use. If you could add... Are you saying when you say a filter, maybe not necessarily the server, like it's pre-filtered and then it serves up a leaderboard to you, but maybe instead the player can interact with the leaderboard and set their own filters for it? Is that...
That was my understanding. Like, you'd have some drop-down boxes like stats from the last month, or
that would be fantastic.
I mean, again, this was just a dev in their spare time hanging out on IRC. We were talking about the subject anyway. They piped in kind of stuff, but that's it'd be nice, but for the data itself, the data's gotta be the data.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean you can't just data. Once it exists, it exists. That makes sense. I really do like the idea of the filters. I think that would be helpful on so many different levels, one for people who wanted to like check the boards and stuff like that. One, it could create a little bit of EPing controversy because someone could be like, well, I'm top 1 if you look at 3 months, and then someone's like, I'm top 1 overall, and I'm, that's kind of, I think that might be kind of fun to see that interplay.
The top of the last 2 days.
Exactly, and then, but at the same time, for also making stats more viable in terms of a recruitment standpoint as well,
Yeah, that's one of the other aspects of the site I need to expand is the recruitment section. I need to completely rewrite that.
But yeah, once they add API and CREST and all that stuff, it should get so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Was actually something I was wanting to ask Charlie, like, do you reckon ESL will ever put resources into, like, incorporating, like, CREST into the ESL website?
I'm aware that our website guys are doing a lot of back-end work to try and change how ESL functions, because a lot of players are asking to get it changed. So I think there's some work. If it's a support just for Dust, at this point in time I'd say no, because Dust is very early in the game, but later on, well, it's something we'll see. I don't want to say yes and then down the line we don't do anything. I don't want to, make any false promises, so my initial guess would be no at the moment.
But maybe, like, if it picks up, it might be... I mean, it's always a possibility, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
It could happen. Like, if Dust picks up, which would be good. Because it would be cool to just, like, have a page and, like, a commentator can just go in and just say, oh, I want to look at this player. I can look at his entire stats history. Oh, he was really bad back in, like, 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I've been getting requests for that, too. It's like, I want to know, my corporation stats for the last 6 months. And I want to be able to filter out characters and make teams. And I'm like, do you know how much coding that is?
Yeah. Oh, I just, even if we get a basic API for Dust, that would be awesome. Even if it's not CREST. But I guess, is the idea that they want to do, they're not going to work on maybe a Dust-centered API, they're just going to go straight forward to CREST?
That's actually how Dust is interacting with Tranquility at the moment. It's running on CREST. Yeah. So
I did not realize.
Yeah. So dev side CREST is already deployed. It's all the outward functions that aren't done yet.
Oh, okay. Now that I did not know. That's actually really cool. That's cool to see that. Well, that's nice to know that it actually exists and is being implemented. And it seems, I mean, if that's how they're doing, if that's how they're making them interact, it seems to be worked fairly well. Then, actually. Yeah,
I mean, I could be wrong, but that's my impressions from the conversations I've had with various devs. Because otherwise, it wouldn't be able to talk to Tranquility without changing all of the code.
Yeah.
And we know how archaic some of Tranquility's code is.
I've heard. Oh man.
Oh, Charlie, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just coughing and saying overview because it's just.
Oh man.
The physics engine still has code that Hilmar wrote back when he wrote code for the company. In what was it, like 2001?
Man, Eve's an old game. Yeah. It's hitting its 10th anniversary, but it was actually like older than that, really.
1999
is when they started coding it. Yeah,
it's when they started coding it. So you've got code that's very. I heard some areas of code. I've heard they'd never directly said it, but I've heard devs talk about certain areas of code like if it was a Pandora's box or something.
That would be the physics engine. No one has touched it since 2001, and the only person that works for the company that knows anything about that code is Hilmar.
Well, there you go.
Its physics engine is almost old enough to drink.
Well, in Germany, depending on how tall it is, it could drink now. But I mean, that's the limitations on why planets don't orbit and why, missiles have to act the way they do and all that stuff. Because of the limitations that they were working with back in 2000 on what they could code. There's so many things that you do, but the physics engine literally touches everything in Eve. And if you screw that up, Eve stops working.
Wow.
Maybe
So
they'll
they-
just... Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Maybe they'll just port the entire game to Unreal 4.
That's
online with PlayStation 4. The Unreal Engine is notoriously bad at tracking objects that are going very fast, so I don't think it'd be Unreal 4.
Yeah.
There is some Unreal 4 gets very, very amusing at those speeds.
Trying to remember what the limitation is now for speed in Eve. I know at one point I had a ship that would go 16 kilometers a second.
I've done minus 21 billion meters per second when I did the sun trick in Rennes. and yeah, I went pretty far.
Do that by the Eve gate, man. Maybe you'll actually be able to get there.
I've never actually been to the Eve gate. I've never just been like,
Oh,
I
It's worth
watched
it.
a video of it. It's like I know there's the graveyard there and there's people, but there's like a blue light in space.
dude, it's really
It's
funny.
so
It's really funny. There's people have dropped cans and anchored stuff. Like I think it's like almost like a competition from when I mean, I haven't been there in years and years, but at the time, people would drop a can as close as they could fly, and people would fly for hours and hours and hours and hours trying to get as closer than anyone else got to the gate. So it's just funny.
It's only like a 17 AU trip.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, someone will do it. Someone one day will just book like if someone have an alt character or something that's constantly flying to the Eve gate every day in and day out.
Isn't that where the giant tablet from 2001: A Space
The
Odyssey
monolith.
as well? Yeah, the monolith.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's
just a
in the
rumor.
gate system.
More
Yes,
than
maybe
likely,
the-
you'll get
not
there and the
where the-
Jove will blow you up.
Oh, I'd love to. I really hope that they put that in the Odyssey trailer. I saw a dev
What,
mention that he would
the
really
Eve
want to
gate
do that.
and the
Yeah.
Jove blowing you up.
Oh no, just like the monolith.
The monolith, yeah,
Like the 2001 music.
And then behind it with a sign that says, "Morning, signs edges are sharp." I love those signs.
Oh man, I'm like this is like
We need
one of the best things about Dust is that we get 2 trailers. Because we get a Dust trailer and an Eve trailer for every expansion there.
Actually, no, we get 3 because we get the Dust trailer, we get the Eve trailer, and then we get the combined trailer.
and trailer. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, hopefully they won't get to the point where they slack off and just do a combined trailer.
Well, no, I'd be
Yeah.
acceptable with that if it was 5 minutes long.
It has to.
Like
my
like a cinematic trailer.
dude,
They
yeah.
just need to make a movie.
Dude, I mean, I know that people at various times and stuff have tried to do. I mean, not only that, you've had independent stuff too. I mean, with Rooks and
Clear
Kings,
Skies.
yeah, Clear Skies. I mean, there's fantastic player content in terms of videos and stuff. And I think I think that's, to me, is one of the things that sells EVE sometimes better than any marketing campaigns, is player-generated media content. Absolutely.
And the stories of people losing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff
Yeah.
because they let the wrong person have roles.
I think the best one was the EVE Bank, the player-run EVE banking system. Oh, who was it? Rick something, and he stole something along the line, a couple trillion of ISK.
That was back when the game had it inflated.
That was 2000. That was in 2005, I think. So that was when people like Corp owned battleships and stuff, and he stole trillions and put down a deposit on a house, and he lives there now. He got banned, but he got a house. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Oh my gosh, we'll just have to, they're one of the first confirmed, like really confirmed, big heist in Dust actually took place over the course of the last week. T-Sol had the Southern Legion had 200 million ISK drained from their corporation wallet, and I think 200 members kicked out of their corporation too. So I don't know. I just anything more than 30 million ISK is don't put. There's no reason to centralize your money in your Dust wallet. So don't go out there. Don't centralize your money. Keep it spread around. Gosh, don't.
Unless you only have 2 directors and they're both you.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh man, that just puts a whole new take on what could happen with PC. People saving up to buy tons of Geno packs, and then someone steals it.
Yep. Yep. That's why you're gonna hear it, because the fact of the matter is, honestly, nothing up to this point has. It's mattered, but at the same time, it hasn't. With PC stuff, actually, it's actually of significance now. So, who knows? Maybe we'll find this is when sleeper agents wake up and they start wreaking havoc inside of organizations and stuff like that. Who knows?
Yeah,
It'll be
the mindset in Dust compared to EVE reminds me of the Control-Alt-Delete comic that was done. One of Us. Yeah, Kane, you know what I'm talking about.
yes.
The comparison between normal MMOs and the way EVE works, because a lot of the Dust clans, that came from other games, they come in thinking, we'll bring our people, we'll trust good guys, we'll recruit people, and I don't know how many times Kane told people and I told people, you can't trust anybody because they will rob you blind, and nobody believed us, and we're just sitting back laughing because the first time it happens to you, you'll see it's just the way this game works, this universe works.
Lots of mag corporations of almost pure mag players will be very disappointed come this expansion. Yeah, all of a sudden find out that one guy that was really helpful just took all your ISK and gave it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And exactly. Now, Kane owns all your districts because he had a spy in your corporation.
There are no other classifications. Everyone is a spy. It's funny. I'll do certain things in our corporation. I'll be like, well, Kane, why are you doing that? I'm like, because I've been playing EVE for 8 years and I'm paranoid. I'm sorry. Can I have access to this? No. Do you not trust me? It's not that I don't trust you. It's that I don't trust any. It's all the key that CEOs really need to take is only give access if there's a reason for there to be access. That's one of the things, kind of like a need-to-know operation, that sort of thing. It has to be there. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm here. You're a director now because you should be a director, and it makes you feel good." That's not you can do titling it. I would like to see there be titles in Dust, like player-generated titles, because I think that could alleviate a lot of things. Also, we need more roles. You can't have, because right now it's just an on-off switch, and there's not any variation to it.
Crap, the devs are going to kill me because I keep forgetting everybody's name.
Nothing but
they were talking about that yesterday in the IRC that
CCP,
because we were commenting about POS system and the reason why they can't update a lot of the stuff. Sorry? Yeah, you lagged way out there, Charlie. Sorry. But
sorry,
it's like
sorry, I'm lagging really badly. I think so. You keep stop talking. I think you're not actually talking, but you are.
But that's one of the reasons why we're not getting the new POS system is to do it, they'd need to completely gut the role system and completely redo it, which they really need to do because the role system in EVE really needs to be fixed. And that's one of the reasons why we haven't gotten roles in Dust as well, because the role system sucks and really needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, they need to overhaul corps. They need to overhaul the POS system. And really, I think Dust is going to be a driver for that.
Yeah.
Because the War Council, that's going to be one of the things the War Council is probably going to push on them that the CCP, that the CSM hasn't been pushing for. Because the War Council is going to be like, look, why do the EVE pilots have it and we can't do it from Dust? It's, we need to have the roles, we need to have the wallet systems, we need to have hangars, we need, you need to change these systems in EVE anyway. This is the time it needs to be done.
Yeah.
Because it affects both games. And you'd basically be getting the coding for half price.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to code it for Dust. You might as well recode it for EVE and do the whole thing in one shot.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. I can, because, that's actually kind of a good point to make, because I know some of the friction between EVE and Dust has always been you're taking away dev time. You're taking away dev time that can be used for EVE. But if you can use Dust and the resources allocated to Dust as a way to kind of to launch into fixing parts of code for EVE that wouldn't otherwise be able to be fixed, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, Dust is going to be coming to nullsec. It is going to be affecting SOV. No matter how much those big alliances don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to lose their SOV. Dust is coming. The SOV system is going to have to be completely overhauled. It needs to be overhauled because it is an insane grind that's just crap. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great system, but it could be so much better. And Dust can push that. And, it was like what they were doing with Incarna. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from a lot of the EVE players that watch this about Incarna. They did it because they were cross between World of Darkness and they were using some of it for Dust, but then they decided not to use it, and EVE. And it was one team working on 3 different projects using the same code, and it was a great idea. It's just they implemented a quarter of it, and everybody hated it. With good reason. They implemented a quarter of a feature. It kind of sucks that way.
That melted graphics cards and all kinds of entertaining things, yeah.
But, you've got these games tied together, and I'm going to say it again, and a lot of people disagree with me. Dust 514 and EVE are the same game because of the metagame. Yes, they're 2 different platforms, they're 2 different experiences, but they tie together so well that they become the same game.
Well, look at the fact that almost every large corporation that's directly involved in PC has EVE CEOs. I mean, if that's not a sign right there in terms of the games wanting to link together. Now, granted, some of that is due to the fact that it's much easier to manage a corporation EVE side than Dust. I think that's kind of a side effect, but at the same time, it's kind of the people who are interested in the metagame are also going to be kind of drawn into EVE proper as well. I think that's just kind of a natural progression that's going to occur in Dust.
Although I'd say to that, like, the corporations you're referring to right there, those are the ones we sort of know of right now. There's like a lot of corporations that we don't know about who probably will jump into PC. That's why it's going to be really interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean, because for all we know, there could be 1,000 corporations out there with enough money to buy a gin pack or two, you know, that we don't even know about. I mean, maybe not 1,000, but you know, any number. I mean,
there are a lot of corporations on the corp leaderboards.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and all it takes is, you know, 80 million, and hey, let's try out this feature, you know? It'll make...
You know...
3 weeks, something like that, until May 6th?
Something like that, yeah.
It's not long. It's not long, and...
Isn't May 6th Eve's birthday as well, or is that the 5th?
I think 6th, yeah. I think that's why they're doing it on May 6th.
Yeah. It's...
Oh yeah, because they want them to share the same birthday, technically. Because...
I doubt we're going to go full launch on the 6th, but...
I've heard...
That's what they're... I think that's what they've been couching it as, though.
Yeah, I've heard it's going to be full launch from some places that were CCP saying that, and I've heard otherwise from other places. I'd love to know. Get a final word on that.
Get final word on anything from CCP? That's asking a lot, man.
Hey man, maybe their new executive producer can tell me.
To be honest, I think you'd need to pull Hilmar into a video chat to get any confirmation that's definite, and even then it wouldn't be.
I was making a joke about how they're actually looking for an executive producer for EVE right now. So if anybody's watching and wants to be an executive producer for a video game, then, and if you're qualified and have all of those things...
I'd love to be, but I'm not qualified in any way, shape, or form.
Oh. Yeah. I'd say it's almost slightly worrying that they're looking for that position, but I guess that just happens. I mean, like, EVE is 10 years old. Oh, I mean, there's only a couple more things I want to mention. We've been going for over an hour and a half now. Which was like, what do you see in the future of Dust, and what do you like want to see? Because me and Kane had like an hour-long conversation yesterday about this.
Yeah, how much time do we have? I know my bedtime's at 3.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it short. We'll try to keep it short. But like, what do you want to see? Like, I mean, as far as things like, what formats do you think will come out and be like the formats that are played, and what game modes and that kind of thing would you like to see? I mean, I guess I'll start with Kane.
I mean, I would like, I mean, once planetary conquest is finalized and secure and stuff, I really would like to see a good push towards competitive play, because I think, you know, we discussed this yesterday. Competitive play can flourish and be successful and add both to Dust and to EVE, even with a small amount of participation. I mean, you could have a population of 500 players involved in just in the competitive side, and it could still be very vibrant. And I would love to see people in their captain's quarters kick back and be able to watch matches and tournament broadcast and all that kind of stuff, and you know, place bets in game on stuff like that, you know, to a limited degree, so it can be controlled. You know, David, you mentioned that specifically. Yeah, I think leave big stakes gambling to player-run organizations, but maybe allow there to be some kind of small, like 50,000 or 100,000 bets be able to be placed on matches and stuff in game. That way it doesn't get out of hand. I think that was a really good idea.
Yeah, you really don't want to.
You don't
want to read that story. CCP don't want to read that story where it's like, oh, a guy spent his entire life savings and mortgaged his house and then lost his house because he spent it all on Plex to bet on things in Eve. Ooh, hang on.
I think that'd be pretty good advertising for Eve. Man loses all in a high stakes bet.
Well, I think that was
the other stuff that makes the public news. Yeah.
Well, the idea would be that you can always have the absolute high stakes stuff not directly CCP supported, so you'll also have an opportunity for players and you can have the seedy underside and that kind of stuff have a chance to kind of have a go at the betting side of things, and also have people build up reputations for being like stellar betting organizations, stuff like that, and at the same time have like high sec betting. Maybe you have high sec arena matches, and the high sec arena matches then have allowed with it betting so people can get involved in that and be like, oh, well, this is really cool to get involved in this competitive play. Let me see what's going on. Oh, in low sec and in null sec, people are betting 500 million ISK on a match, that kind of stuff. I think anytime that you can make it to where a feature is easily accessible to new players, easily accessible to people maybe outside of the experience of New Eden and experience of Eve, it's always good to kind of put them into that environment and say, hey, look, isn't this cool? By the way, we have a completely player-run, player-organized version of this as well, and third parties organizing this stuff as well. I think that's always key to growing stuff inside of kind of New Eden. I would love to see that kind of thing, and I definitely see Dust being a big player in the esports realm, because there's stuff you can do in Dust you're not going to, and in Eve, that you won't be able to do in any other sport. And there's so much variability that can be incorporated because CCP is such a great company in terms of really listening to players and really going out on the edge and doing stuff that people haven't done before. I think you're going to find it being a fantastic environment in the future for organizations and players to be involved in terms of sporting events.
And I think if, like, in terms of people, so for esports side, like people watching Dust, or even just someone who wants to stream Dust, like there's a lot of people who stream Dust every so often on Twitch, like Dalpa streams quite a lot, and like when everyone talks to him, he's always watching the chat, and he'll always provide like feedback for questions or answer the questions. Really nice about it. But in that regard, like if someone came and just saw, oh, Dust, what's this? I'll like check it out, and like and if they saw like this fight going on, and not as pretty as like AAA shooters like Call of Duty and stuff, which focus only on making it look pretty and nothing about skill-based gameplay. Bit of a dig there. It's but then if like the player looked up, and if CCP implement this dynamic skybox, so you could see the ships in orbit, and I think that'd be the point where a player would be like, wow, are those actual players? And it's that kind of mystery, like all the questions like which we've got me into Eve, and like because Eve is the first, like you have the worst tutorial that's ever been designed. Here is the worst ship you could possibly have. Here is the minimum amount of it you can possibly have. Go nuts, play Eve. Don't talk to me anymore. That's the tutorial, and it was great.
I remember that one.
It was great because you just undock and you're like the first, you always undock, and then like this battleship would always undock next to you, and like it's so much bigger. You just like, whoa, I want to get into that, and you look at the market like, whoa, everything's so expensive. And I think like that, like just the way the new players learned, like there are some problems. I agree with, like someone comes to Eve on their own and plays it, it's too hard, too complex for them. They'll get annoyed and quit, which is fair enough. But I think just the amount of mystery for a new player to see that there's content already there, but they don't realize it, and they'll discover it naturally, was such a strong thing for EVE. And if they bring that into Dust, and then someone will just notice just like, wow, this is actually inside another game. And then the same side of EVE with Kane saying about betting and stuff and being able to go into captain's quarters, which, if you can afford the graphics card to do that and watch the live streams, like a live stream of it down, I think just that, how intimate and connected that be, would be such an amazing, something that's never been done before.
Yeah, I keep telling them that they need to broadcast the Fanfest on the captain's quarters computer screens. You know, so you can sit on the couch and watch Fanfest in your captain's quarters in EVE.
I think you can actually do that, but there's someone tried it. Someone tried doing the BIC video is the file format they use, and that was pointed to a stream and converted it, and I think it is possible, but it's not
kind of wonky. Yeah.
The problem is EVE CCP have stopped using the Carbon engine. They've just stopped using it, from what I hear, which is kind of a bummer because they put all that work into Incarna and everyone hated it, and now they've stopped using it. I wouldn't say everyone hated it, but a lot of people, like the fact that the hangar where you could look at your ship instead of having to go into captain's quarters was kind of annoying, and they could have handled that better.
Yeah, forcing everyone to go.
Yeah, there was a great forum post like, I just don't see how, like you said about how he's an immortal, like he's a demigod of the universe, he can go around and kill all these innocent civilians, and then he has to undock, and he has to redock, and then spend 10 minutes loading just because he got drones or something. Which is fascinating.
But yeah, for me, if we go beyond all the stuff that they've talked about, like drones and the arena and stuff like that, to be honest, I'd have to say I'd love to see... I gotta preface this. I've got a bunch of friends that don't play EVE. They hate the game. It's too complex, they don't like the numbers, it's just a boring game to them. Fine. They will come over during the Alliance tournament and sit on my couch and watch the stream. Because I'll hook it up to my TV in high def and we'll sit there and watch the stream. They love that. They love the combat, they love the commentary, they love the way it looks. It's like people coming over to watch the Super Bowl, and I kind of make it a party. I would love to see a combined tournament.
Yeah, definitely.
Going back to the main subject of the cast here, because I can see how it could be done, especially in a CCP-run environment. You can have the Skyfire battery on the ground, which the players are fighting over, the Dust Mercs. The EVE Mercs can set up, and they can equip their ships to do orbital bombardment. And both fights run at the same time. Your Mercs get advantage on the ground. They can start shooting at the EVE ships with the cannon. The EVE players can take the risk of loading their guns up for orbital bombardment to help their Mercs on the ground. And that combination, I think, would draw in so many people because of just how horrible it could go for one side. And the explosions and the commentating and that combination, I think, would hook in people, not bring people into the game, but just hook in people to watch. Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe you can even expand on that. Have a joint alliance, maybe have a joint tournament, a joint alliance tournament, and say, and make it or at least an aspect of it. Say it's make it a conquest mode, have like a 6-district planet or a 12-district planet or something like that, and say, these 4 alliances now have to compete and see who can seize all of the territory on the planet by a certain time or something like that. Maybe,
Just like have no timers.
Yeah,
just,
or something.
You
Yeah,
can just fight for.
yeah. And have it be for a day. You could have it be epic and be like over the course of the month, who has the most districts at the end of a month, and you can use all of your resources in order to, metagaming, spying, all that stuff. All that matters is who has districts who has the most districts at the end of it all. Maybe that might be something that could be interesting in terms of a competitive kind of play.
Because the reason I say this is because, esports, yes, it's about the competitors, but in the end, it's about the audience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really have the MLG for, the couple hundred guys that play it. You have it for the couple 100,000 people that watch.
Yeah.
And, I know the Alliance tournament gets insane ratings for CCP TV, when they do it. I think last year they had
14,000.
14,000 people watching it, and it kept crashing the stream because they didn't have enough bandwidth.
That's actually...
They were nearing 60,000 players logged in game and stuff.
Yeah, that's when EVE hits its high peak concurrent user, is during the Alliance tournaments. And with the combination with Dust, streaming it on, say, Twitch, or, hook up with YouTube and do live streams onto YouTube.
I think CCP have partnered with Twitch for this year, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that CCP doesn't have to bear all the costs of it, which would make it more feasible to do. But then you get the name out there. You get, hey, look how insanely awesome this is just to watch. And, that's better marketing than any ad they'll be able to put up.
That's something that will, because of the way Twitch works right now, when they did it on Owns, it was like towards the end of Owns' life cycle. Like, Owns weren't making money for a lot of the time. I watched an interview with the guy who founded it, and they were saying, our company was just kind of crumbling at that point. So I think that it was kind of a last-ditch attempt to get more people into watching on Owned, them going to CCP and trying to get EVE streams going, which limited them because a lot of people were then just watching Twitch exclusively and just going to the front page of Twitch and seeing what was on, and that's something that's happening a lot more these days. So when they're on Twitch, where there's a lot of people who are just looking for something to watch, I think that 14,000 number is going to go up quite a lot. Because a lot of people will scroll down to the bottom of the page, look at what's being played, and it doesn't take that many to actually get to the top 10 of those so that you're on the front page.
The front page feature is directly controllable by the Twitch devs, and I have the contacts for one of them, Fish Sticks, so I could definitely drop him a thing for that. But I'm fairly sure CCP would do that anyway. But
yeah. But I feel like a lot of people are just going to go, why does EVE have 15,000 people watching? Something interesting must be happening.
EVE was up to, I think it was nearing 2,000 viewers for the 2 weekends it did. Stupid wallpapers blinding me. They did CSL 2 weeks in a row. SCL, sorry.
Yeah.
And they got over 2,000 concurrent viewers for each week, which is pretty cool. Because I actually saw it. I didn't know it was on. I thought they did the one season and then they were going to be done for a bit. And then I saw, why does EVE have that many people on the stream? And I clicked, I was like, oh, cool, these guys are doing it. And I watched that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was that fight that went down earlier this year. The really huge one.
Asakai.
Asakai.
Oh my god.
Jump. Bridge. Jump.
Bridge.
And that had...
It was just the fact that was completely unscripted, so that should be in one of their marketing things, I think.
Yeah.
Just because, one Titan pilot pressed the wrong button. it's the button he should be familiar with because all he does is sit in a Titan, and he pressed the wrong one. They're pretty far away from each other as well. If you get in cattle shit, and he jumped, and then some people noticed, and everyone was like, go defend him, go attack him, and then eventually got out, and they're like, yeah, we got him out. We can kill these guys. And then just eventually, just on the map, it was just like a massive fireball. So everyone just like flocked there just to be there. And I think
it had over 3,000 people watching on stream.
The fight had over 10,000 people in the fleet fight. But I think if the ISK thing on Eve Kill was to be trusted, although it's quite buggy when killers get really buggy at that amount of fighting. I think something in the region of $17,000 worth of ISK were destroyed in the first few hours.
Yeah.
That was how big it was. It was just ridiculous.
I mean, like, the Titan kill for the Dust event, it took me... I got there just after it started. It took me almost 2 hours to get in system because they capped it. Yeah. It was constantly at 1,600 players for... I think 9 hours.
Oh yeah, I loaded up into system like I think 2 or 3 days beforehand, actually. But oh man,
they set it.
I showed up with one of my alts because.
God.
Yeah, I jumped. I had to go in with high scoop.
Oh, you're lagging a bit.
Smart.
I think we've lost.
Yeah. I think we've lost Rock Dog.
Yeah, before I died. I'm still here. I can see you guys running.
Oh, there we go. He's back.
Okay. You went in really slow motion for about 20 seconds there.
Yeah, it was a reenactment of the time dilation that was occurring if you have to warp to the Titan.
Yeah. Before I died in a newbie ship, I did 3 points of damage to that Titan.
Top damage.
Just to get on the kill mail.
Because when I died, I got potted, so I crashed out of system.
Oh.
And then my bad time came, and I had to go to bed because I that night. But yeah, I mean, but that's the kind of story, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing, I was there. I shot at that Titan. I didn't do anything, yeah, but I was there. The guys that were in the fleets for the other Titan kill, because dude was an idiot and hit jump 2 instead of bridge 2. They can say, I was there when we did this. Guys on the ground in New Caldari during that event can say, I was on the ground helping. Those are the stories that get told and bring people into this universe.
Yeah.
And those are the stories that are getting told through Twitch and stuff like that. That's what the Alliance tournament and a combined tournament would do. And it would bring in more players. This is why EVE has grown every year for 10 years.
That's actually a really nice segue into something else I was going to mention, is that they're actually doing the 10-year anniversary EVE is Real, I think it's called.
Yes.
The
stories, true stories from EVE.
I'm wondering if they actually accept Dust stories as well.
I do believe so. I don't know. It'd be something to look into.
EVE and Dust.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how many stories we can tell from before January 22nd, but...
Yeah. I mean, even stuff like just talking about the tournament, for example, and...
Yeah, I mean, there's great... I mean, even from the OB events, there were some great stories from that stuff, too. I mean... getting orbital support and then all of a sudden having it not there because it got blown up. I mean...
I pushed the button. Why is it the hell raining down from the sky? Oh, wait, somebody blew up the destroyer.
Gosh, and wait till if you can see the ships in orbit over a district.
Watch them blow up in time.
Watch them blow up. It's the only thing I'm worried. So what is it? Is it on Eve.com? And then there's like I think if you. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. They launched Eve.com.
Yep.
Too.
That's where the stories are, I believe.
Yeah, and there's a link in the upper right corner, I do believe, in terms of submitting stories. So, and it's got a fantastic timeline. If you've ever been curious about how you got from because so many people are like, wow, yeah, we're so far in the future. Why does this not work? Why don't we have like super awesome, crazy nonsense and stuff like that? Well, look at the timeline. And kind of, that's one of the things that was always so cool about Eve is that it's super far-flung future, but at the same time, it's, civilization scraping by from scratch.
It's like post-apocalypse, really.
Yeah, it really is. The funny thing is, looking at that time, oh man, but yeah, the story, if you have a great story, you should submit it, because that's, to me, the players and their stories really are what sells this game.
Yeah. And there were some interesting things. I know we mentioned like TV shows earlier, and actually Defiance. Is it Defiance?
Yeah.
That
Sci-Fi Channel one.
Yeah, the pilot for that comes out this week, and their MMO launched earlier. Yeah, so it's not that long. Something I noticed though is that they said on the website stories from this will inspire books, TV shows, and movies.
It's just.
So I have no idea if that's like them hinting at like we might be doing something like that.
Oh man, dude, you could write novel after novel after novel.
There's been 3 already for Eve.
Yeah, I mean, and just based on you could literally write novels about pure player-driven stories, though. I mean,
that's one of the IRC. Had a conversation with a guy this morning. He's like, I clicked into the, the actual role-playing section of the Eve forums this morning, and suddenly remembered that there's 10 years of backstory for this game. And a lot of people don't understand that for Dust. It's not you're not coming into a new game. This is a game that's been building for 10, 12, 15 years, depending on what you're looking at.
Exactly.
That, the weapons are the way they are because of the history of these races and these people, and you're not going to see a Minmatar laser because Minmatars don't make lasers, and you're not going to see these things because that's just how the lore is. And I know a lot of people are like, lore shouldn't trump game mechanics, but
they can work in synergy though.
Yeah, I mean, they won't get lasers, but they get the HMG.
Yeah, or you get the flail, the upcoming Flaylock pistol.
The Flaylock pistol. The Galente get the plasma cannon because they, those unique weapons create the stories that people are going to tell, and 10 years from now, which is insane to most FPS players. I'm going to be playing this game in 10 years. That's the world you're coming into, where we don't look at where do we want to be in 6 months. CCP looks at this game and goes, where do we want it to be 10 years from now? And that's one of the things that, esports has been looking for, because, I'm sure Charlie can talk to this, with, games turning over, like new Call of Duties coming out and stuff like that. You can't, one game doesn't get to tell a story over 4 years. You really don't get good. You don't get the great, strategies and stuff like that, because the lifespan of the game is so short before you're onto a new game and new tactics.
Yeah, a lot of the, I'm very bitter about that, and a lot of the new games being churned out, like, any Call of Duty after Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare, which was quite a good game, but like everyone after that was identical in most aspects. Halo 4, I'm not going to get into. That was just Microsoft milking it for the sake of milking it. The only kind of one that's recent that doesn't go against that is Tribe Descend, which is because that's been Tribe Descend is I think it's a 15-year-old game, and the reason it worked was because the skiing from Tribe Descend was a bug, and people would jump and strafe all the time, and because that you could ski, and the entire thing was built from that, and that can tell a story like Dust will start to do. So I think the only thing that's close to what Dust will do is Tribes, but everything else is just like anything made by the Call of Duty is the most prime thing. I don't want to bash on the people who play Call of Duty. If you like the game, it's fine. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it's your opinion. But they churn out, I think, there's a release schedule. They had Black Ops 2 this year. They had Modern Warfare 3 last year, and Black Ops 1 last year, and Modern Warfare 2 last year, and then it's not even a year release schedule. All they're doing is just slapping a different. Was it? I think it was still last year.
No, Modern Warfare 2 was. Actually, it was a while ago. I think it's a yearly release, like it's an annual thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But every yearly release, like every other game has, a yearly release is like if you wanted to build Pac-Man now. All they're doing is putting like a new color palette on, few new mechanics, new weapons and stuff. Yeah. And then just profiting so much from it because they're so large.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, would you say that like maybe one of the benefits maybe to in terms of it being a consistent sporting event, Drake? I mean, for ESL and for MLG and all that stuff would be the fact that Dust could provide consistency that you don't necessarily see in other types of FPSs. Like Dust is Dust and will always be Dust. You know.
I think at the moment, I think Dust will get to that point where people will say, "Oh, Dust, yeah, it's because Dust will stay around for so long that it will become that." I think that's just how it's going to work. A lot of players may not see it that way. They'll actually say like, "Do I like this as an FPS or do I not?" And they'll move on. But like it's hard to say, but it will retain a lot of, like, if anyone gets into the competitive community in Dust and enjoys it, Dust isn't going to go anywhere, and that's a really big thing. Like, you could go into, like, for example, Halo 1, Halo 2, they were huge. They were the MLG's main stage every year, year in, year out, and then Halo 3 and Halo Reach. But then the game disappears, and then it stops becoming anything, really. Which is a shame.
I think the one comparison for it would be StarCraft.
Yeah,
because, they put out StarCraft and it was such a great RTS. Nothing else could compete with it, and it had legs, and people just played it and played it and played it, and that's where, until StarCraft 2 came out, what, a year and a half ago.
MLG,
3 years.
But it was still on the MLG stage, They were still playing it because it was the game you went to, because it was so old and people had so many strategies and there was such, a world built around that game.
Well, not Heart of the Swarm, that's the new one. Brood
Wings
War,
of Liberty.
No, I mean the original StarCraft 1. There's still lots of competitions for that, especially in places like, I think, Taiwan and Korea. It's still huge over there, of how well-founded it is.
But, I mean, it's like soccer, or football for you guys, or rugby, or cricket. They have seasons because the rules don't change.
Yeah.
And for things like StarCraft, MLG could do seasons, and they could do all that because the rules didn't change. A new StarCraft didn't come out. It would be the same thing every year, and they knew it.
Yeah.
And so they could build off of that. And I think that they need that in more games. Yeah. So things like Defiance and Dust and, the more consistent, long-running FPSs will be a good thing. Because there's a demand for it. It's just not being met because a lot of the companies want money rather than a community.
Yeah.
And there's some cool stuff, I have no idea. I'd actually really love to hear a guy from CCP, explain to me, if they could or couldn't do this in, the distant future, which would be, a virtual reality mode where you're just playing
The training.
But, yeah, it would be, you could just say this mode has completely different physics, and now you're playing Quake. Pretty much. And, just say, have that, if there's that capability of, we could just, make a mode that just plays very differently, just has different physics, different weapons.
Yes, Dust can do that because it's built in the Unreal 3 engine. Then you can just I'm not sure how modified CCP's version of the Unreal Engine are, but you can just modify them
a bit.
Huh. That would be that's interesting.
I've heard several devs talk about. I've heard several devs talk about variable gravity, weather effects, stuff like that they can do in the engine, because a lot of players are lava planets and ocean planets and planets with low gravity, moons, combat in outer space. It's all possible once you get really think about it. It's got to be coded and all that stuff, but you set the gravity to a specific level. I know in the old Unreal you could do that. You could say, shoot, this was Unreal. Dude, this was back in 2003 while I was still at school. You could set the gravity to the moon's gravity and jump insanely high. You could set the gravity to 3 times Earth and you couldn't jump at all.
You can still do this in Unreal 3.
Right. So they could easily say, okay, any districts on this planet will be affected by this gravity ratio, the air density will be this, and put all those in place. And then in the training room, give the players the ability to set those variables. So that, we want you to be able to train so that if we ever hit a planet where you can't jump, the gravity's so insane that you just can't jump. We want you to be able to fight effectively without being able to jump. And so they train on that. Or, we need you to be effective in a place where there's 0.1 gravity. So you jump and you're going to be in the air for 20 seconds. That would be insane. And then doing that in an arena mode for tournaments, good lord.
Actually, there was a game that had zero gravity, an FPS, and I can't remember what it was called.
Void something. Was it for a console or was it for PC as well?
I know Dead Space had several sections didn't have gravity.
It was a multiplayer game that was focused around it, from what I understood. And the entire idea was that you were in space and just hopping from things.
I can't remember. I know I can picture it tip of the tongue, but that's going to annoy me now. I'm not going to be able to sleep because of that.
But yeah, just having crazy stuff like that. There's so much potential for that kind of thing. But yeah. Anyway, we've been going for forever. And I don't want this to be as long as the 2 to 3 hour monster that episode 3 was. So I guess I'll just wrap this up saying go vote for CSM if you have an EVE account, because apparently that's a thing that hasn't been happening as much as last year.
I know a couple of guys that are running.
You get a shiny faction, one of the pirate noob ships. I think you can get them by voting now. Someone told me.
I thought that was
That'd
for
be
the
cool.
Eve stream.
Yeah.
Or the
I've got,
Fanfest
you can
stream.
get that as well. Oh my god, I have just this like sidetracking the I've got the HD stream and I was given the 50 Quaif prototype scout suits and they are glorious. They are hot pink and they glitter as you run. they are fabulous.
I have.
Wait, did you actually get them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got them.
Oh, wait, yeah, I did actually get them. I have them on my character.
I think I have the pictures here on the link. Everything's so bright on the screen.
Yeah, the sun's actually
yet.
gone down in the UK while we've been doing this show.
I
I don't have mine yet because we won't get the codes until we go to FanFest.
Here it is. Well, I'll link.
But
I'll
I've
link
got
these to
50
you.
from the Quaif event, so. But I'll never be able to use them because I don't run scouts.
That's what me and Cerebral should do.
There you go.
We should just get a team
There
with
you go.
the requirement for the team is you have to have the neon pink suit, and just play an entire court match with that suit.
I
Once
sent you
player
the link.
training
Give
is in,
the
those
for
suits
them
are
on
going to be
the
expensive.
video.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's the Quaif suit for you.
I may have to do a video on that now. Like, just dump skill points into scout suits and.
I think.
Well, hey, the reset's
think,
coming up on the 6th. Might as well do it now, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's actually like. I probably shouldn't play in the tournament seriously, just because I've been dumping skill points randomly into things.
Right.
Oh, I should do a video on this Quace suit. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I level 5 MD stuff.
Oh no! What I should do
Literally
is I
talking
should.
with all the five.
You can favorite suits, can't you? And that's the one that shows in.
Yeah.
I should just do that.
It could be your Warbarge suit.
Yeah.
You need the skills to use it before you can set it as a favorite, which is annoying. I tried that. So mine's just the Black Eagle one because they look amazing.
You know what? That's something that would be interesting. Maybe let you favorite stuff you don't have the skills for, so you can wear it on the barge. And you could sell suits just to look pretty.
Yeah, I'm running around in my Severology suit at the moment. But that's what I use in matches anyway, so.
Oh, but anyway, we should wrap this up because it's been going for forever. Again. I'm actually really surprised. Like, I didn't think we'd get like 2.5 hours out of just like Dust as an esport, but it's been going pretty well. Like.
Well, you brought a bunch of crazy people on. What do you expect? I mean, collectively, we have what, like 20 plus years of EVE experience here?
Yeah,
Oh, gosh.
Easily.
And I've been playing FPSs for 20 years alone, so
Yeah.
God.
I've been playing FPSs since the original Wolfenstein, Spear of
Yes.
Destiny.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes. Gosh, then we have probably like 60 to 80 years of FPS play. All right, good. Yeah, we'll let you. We can wrap.
Yeah. Also, I haven't like eaten today. I've eaten this much of the Danish.
I have a bowl of food that's been sitting in front of me for the whole time.
I ate chicken before we came on.
Woo, lucky.
Well,
Man.
okay, we sign off. I go to bed so I can get up in 8 hours and go to work.
All right.
Oh man, I'm glad I didn't. Oh, this is gonna sound bad. I'm glad I didn't bring Quick Gloves on. This would have been like a 5-hour show with him.
Either that or this would be dead.
I love you, Quick Gloves, but you do talk.
Yes.
Okay. Final thoughts and shoutouts and all that. I'll start with Charlie. Final thoughts and shoutouts.
Have a look at consoles on there in the Dust section and Kane's tournament that's coming out, and stay tuned on that. Play Dust, don't sit AFK in the MCC like an asshat, but I think that's all there is to say, yeah.
Kane, final thoughts.
Yeah, just check out. You can Google, if you Google Chromosome Cup, the information should pop up for the tournament. So check that out. And it should be a lot of fun. So people come up and buy that HD stream for the Fanfest. I think everyone should really take a look at the crazy stuff that goes on for sure.
Hopefully, we get chess boxing again. Maybe.
That would be great.
Oh,
Rock Docs, final thoughts and shoutouts.
Well, thanks for having me on. www.dust514stats.com. Come by, tell me how horrible it is, like Nova does every day. But, sign up, add your stats, see how you do. If you have any suggestions, email them to me. My email address is on the front page someplace. And if you want to do a tournament or for me to track your corp stats, email me and let me know. And I'll see what I can hook up for you, like Kane does.
Cool. I mean, I did find during the first open beta tournament that I was just going to Dust 514 stats for the brackets alone. It was really useful. You hosting them on the site. So. Oh, but yeah, thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, and I actually got that changed so that the team stats and the bracket are all in the same place, so you can look at all at the same time.
Cool. Oh, thanks everybody for watching. I'm gonna go eat food, and I actually I feel kind of bad because Chromosome's gotten to the point where I'm just really tired of playing it. I was actually talking to Marvado on Twitter, and I think there's a lot of people who just want May 6th to come around. And yesterday oh no, I can't swear because forum rules now. Yeah, we're not allowed to swear on the show anymore unless I preface it, which I didn't do, so I'm not going to. But I just had this mental thought of oh, I finally hit the cap. Now I don't have to play Dust until next Wednesday, so I'm really, really looking forward to Planetary Conquest, so that I don't have to, I don't AFK in the MCC, I just run around in militia
Cap?
gear.
There's a cap? What?
Yeah, I just run around in militia gear and ambushes and, fire randomly at people. It's a lot of fun.
I like shooting my own in the back of the head. It's fun.
But anyway.
We've only got 3 more weeks.
Yeah. And Fanfest is 10 days away, so I can enjoy that. But thanks everybody who watched all of this and tuned in, and I will be back next week because we'll be back just before Fanfest. We'll be doing a planetary conquest thing, going over Malden Heath. Probably is going to be the region they pick, I think.
Maybe.
Hopefully, although Kane did bring up the point last night that it's Rooks and Kings territory, so hot drop everywhere. But actually, that could lead to some amazing stuff happening. But we can only hope. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back next week. Planetary Conquests, Fanfests, 10 days away. We may do a show on that weekend or the day after that weekend. I'll let you know next week. But anyway, see you guys next week.